All right, free radicals. Welcome back. I'm Dave, and this is the Radical Independent. Want to talk about the debate last night. I did not watch it, but I have watched some highlight reels, and I've got to tell you, Michael Bloomberg had a very rough night last night. But watching the debate, it occurred to me early on that our angel in white should have been on that debate stage, and of course I'm talking about Tulsi Gabbard. There's no reason not to have Tulsi. I don't know, because here's my rationale. I know the DNC will say, well, she's not polling where she needs to be polling and so forth. Based on the fact that you're bending the rules and changing the rules for the billionaire Michael Bloomberg, who has no grassroots support whatsoever. It's all astroturf, and what you're doing is you're rewarding somebody who can buy their way in. And that shows already, I think, a serious amount of rigging. And there's been, Mayor Pete was ridiculous last night. He tries to go after Bernie Sanders. Everybody's going after Bernie. And yeah, there was a few, obviously, dedicated shots going after Bloomberg, but that mostly came from Warren, and it did come from Mayor Pete a little bit, who isn't a billionaire, but who has billionaire donors. And again, wouldn't Bernie have benefited from attack dog Tulsi, who is unchained, who could say whatever she wants to say? And this is why, of course, the DNC does not want to have Tulsi Gabbard anywhere near that stage. That would have been a catastrophe. And again, you would have heard howls from people from MSNBC and so forth who would have said, well, she doesn't even like being a Democrat. Well, after watching this debate last night, the only people on stage who seemed to be comfortable in their own skin and believed that they were doing, the Lord's work, per se, or at least the people's bidding, were Bernie Sanders and, to a lesser extent, Elizabeth Warren. Now, again, I am not a fan of Elizabeth Warren. I think she is very ill-equipped to be president. I also believe that in a debate with Donald Trump, she would get destroyed. I also believe in a general election that Trump would beat her. I think Bernie is a better candidate. By the way, it has nothing to do with the fact that Elizabeth Warren is a woman. Amy Klobuchar last night, by the way, I thought did all right. I mean, I don't really like Klobuchar, but there were a couple of moments where she appeared human and normal, and so I give her credit for being human and normal. She got attacked a couple of times, and she was able to, I believe, turn it around and look reasonable and respectable. But all night, it was just a dedicated onslaught against, well, there were two themes. It was Bloomberg is a billionaire, and he doesn't deserve to be on the stage. And he's trying to buy this and so forth, and we already knew that. The other theme was attacking Bernie for sticking up to working class folks. And the word socialism made an appearance, and I've been telling people since I started doing this that you cannot have that word out there as a philosophy, as an ideology, the way it's been misused for, I don't know, the last 30, 40 years at least, and probably longer. The kind of so-called socialism that Bernie is advocating for is no different than what FDR tried to do, or did. And he didn't call it socialism. He said, hey, we're going to put some controls on the banks so this crap doesn't happen again. They unraveled, the Democrats and Clinton unraveled all of that so we could have, unfettered, uncontrolled, free market capitalism, which has caused numerous, declines and depressions and great recessions, and leading economists are talking about one that's coming that might dwarf everything that we've seen thus far. And Bernie is trying to put some controls on it. Elizabeth Warren, sloppy seconds, but not anything as significant as what Bernie wants to do. Imagine if you had Tulsi on the stage. Number one, Tulsi provides a unique perspective that nobody else is espousing. When it comes to, say, Bloomberg, Biden, Klobuchar, and Buttigieg, you're getting the same flavor with just different branding. I want to do little tinkering around the edges. I'm going to give you some big platitudes. I'm going to get to the White House and do literally nothing. Warren is somewhere in between the platitudes and substantive ideas. Bernie is the only one up there presenting substantive ideas. By the way, nobody is going to talk about the endless wars and the military-industrial complex. And Tulsi Gabbard would, I guarantee you, if she were on that stage, she would have taken a stupid neoliberal talking point question and turned it into an opportunity to critique, American imperialism and the warfare state, okay? And nobody up there is going to take that opportunity because everybody on that stage, including Bernie Sanders, is beholden to appeasing the warfare state. Even Bernie, okay? And I don't like saying that. I want Bernie to be tough on this stuff. But I think based on the questions that were given to the New York Times or the New York Times gave to his campaign and those answers that came back, I became a little frightened of a Sanders presidency because, yeah, there are some things that he says no to, but there are a lot of things like preemptively striking or trying to stop a nuclear test in a country, a sovereign country. Now, I'm not saying nuclear tests are a good thing, but if you're going to, spend capital and treasure, both human and financial, on doing something like that, I think it's just a recipe for more conflict and possibly nuclear war. And I just don't see how Sanders can actually get up there and tell everybody he's against the military-industrial complex, but yet he'd be okay to preemptively stopping, nuclear testing. All right? Tulsi Gabbard would be more emphatic. These would be yes or no answers. They would be certainly nuanced, and it would be a unique perspective. Because, again, you've got really a bunch of the same flavor. You had, 6 people on the stage? Okay? Again, if you go down the list, you had Bloomberg, Biden, Warren, Klobuchar, Buttigieg. 5 people with basically more or less the same perspective. Bloomberg is an older version of Buttigieg. Buttigieg doesn't have his money. And that's what that boils down to. Amy Klobuchar, hey, I'm a centrist. I can work with Republicans. Nobody wants a centrist at this point. They want someone who's going to get stuff done, significant things that will help the American people. Warren, okay, pretends to be progressive. She's a neo-progressive. She's trying to kind of, sort of co-opt and do a gentle version of some of what Bernie is advocating for. And again, this whole capitalist versus socialist thing, another thing that Tulsi Gabbard would have done is she would have said, let's stop labeling stuff and let's start to get stuff done. We're wasting time. The more you polarize people, the less willing they are to even listen to you. If you jump up there and you say, hey, I'm a socialist, and by the way, the moderators, they're all neoliberals. The way they phrase questions, it's clear that neoliberalism is their religion, and Bernie is kind of like, in the wrong church, and they're going to try to make sure that they, try to understand Bernie's theology, but at the end of the day, he's not preaching the same message that everybody on the stage is. Okay, Elizabeth Warren, like I say, is a little iffy, but everybody on the stage, everybody on the panel comes from neoliberalville. all right? And Tulsi Gabbard would have been just, I can't even comprehend how much better she would have been on that debate stage. And for all of the Bernie people that want Tulsi to go away, if Tulsi were on that stage, I guarantee you she would have defended Bernie. She would have defended Bernie. She would have defended Bernie and then expanded on those points to make her points. And she would have done it in a way, I think, that would have given people yet another better option for president. So it's shame on, obviously, these news organizations that have basically disappeared Tulsi Gabbard. They've disappeared her. She doesn't exist, and she should be on that stage. She's still in the race. There's enough room on that stage. It's embarrassing that you let Bloomberg up there, who was a buffoon most of the night. And again, Joy Behar and the rest of you people, if you really think that Bloomberg would be better than Donald Trump as president, Bloomberg would be a disaster and would make a lot of people think twice about Trump again. They would say, well, I wanted to vote for somebody else, but they gave me Bloomberg. They gave me the Hillary Clinton in, a suit instead of a pantsuit. And now what am I supposed to do? I'm going to go back to Trump, or maybe I'm going to vote third party. That's why I actually mentioned Howie Hawkins in a video yesterday over on Rockfin, because at a certain point, folks, if this shakes out to be Bloomberg against Trump, holy crap, that's worse. I think that might even be worse than Trump versus Clinton. It really might be, especially knowing what we know now about all of this fake Russia nonsense and, Russiagate, Ukrainegate. Now that we know all this stuff, a lot of people are just like, you know what? Just going to leave things alone. The economy is good enough for me. I don't like Trump, but these people are worse. And that's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get. Or you're going to get people like me who say, bye-bye, third party. Not doing it. So that's my take on the debate. Tulsi Gabbard, if she were there, this would have been an awesome debate where you would have heard substantive replies. You would have heard questions turned on their head. You would have heard and seen the neoliberal order ruptured, especially when it comes to foreign policy, which is very monolithic on that stage right now. And it leans heavily toward the military-industrial complex, starting first with Bloomberg and then ending at the end with Bernie, who's not as into it because supposedly he wants to fight it, but I think he's only going to fight it so much because he wants to get his domestic agenda through, and I think that's the bargain he's going to make. Tulsi would never make that bargain. So that's my video. Thanks for watching. Keep subscribing. Keep watching. Again, the channel, a little bit on life support, but doing a little better. The prognosis might be, from, critical condition to stable condition. We'll find out in the next few days how that all pans out. But still, don't forget to check me out over on Rockfin and David J. Spuria at paypal.com for one-time donations. I want to thank those who've recently given $10 donations. I got a couple yesterday and the day before, and yes, I do appreciate those. I do recognize those. A lot of times I'll even reply to you if I can. If I can't, for whatever reason, if the email account doesn't work and so forth, then I can't thank you directly. But I do see those donations and I appreciate them. So that's the video. I'll be back soon with more content, so stay tuned here at The Radical Independent.